in college and the NFL. We got one of them with us, a native of Crossett, Arkansas.
Awesome.
Frank Duffy, Doug Dean, Brad Bellamy coming there in the fourth quarter. Look, do us a favor. Take a picture with your cell phone of the QR code as we're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. 8 channels simultaneously, and then reels going out everywhere. Breaking news, but we don't traffic in rumors. True Grit journalism's alive and well here. And we celebrate the 3 big things about college football: the history, the traditions, and the heroes. And share us and like us. You have no idea what that means to us. But as we grow, we want you to grow with us. So let's go ahead and bring everybody in here and get started on this Friday edition of the College Football Roundtable. Coach Barry Switzer. Coach, you got to remember, all of us grew up. I used to write letters to athletic departments around the country as a kid. You always were one of the coaches. You would send out your media department, because I got to work in there when I was in high school at Auburn, but you would send out a letter, media guides, pictures with something inspirational. And your favorite quote that you ever gave, I love it, was "Too much is never enough," about hard work and success and all. And you're why we love college football, because of your energy and your passion. And it's an honor to have you on here. Welcome to Sidelines.
Well, thank you. Look forward to it. I didn't know whether we worked this thing out technical-wise, but we did do it.
Yeah, we got it. Coach, we see you so many, the documentaries, the one about the Dallas Cowboys. We see you, college football with Oklahoma. That's what we all cut our teeth on. Now into the SEC. You're the ambassador for Oklahoma, still as active as ever. And I think that's great. Another cool stat about Oklahoma: it's the only school in America to have 4 different football coaches win 100 or more games, and you're one of them. What does it mean to you to be able to represent Oklahoma, especially with the transition to the SEC?
Well, first of all, I started my career in 1960. Frank Broyles was the coach at Arkansas. After I got out of service, I came back to Arkansas. I was going to go to law school. Frank called me in his office and said, "I want you to coach for me." And I said, "Coach, I'm going to go to law school." He said, "Well, if you don't like coaching, you go to law school next year, can't you?" And I looked at him and I said, "I guess I could." And he says, so I never went to law school. And I made coaching my career and started with Freddie Akers, and I were freshman coach in 1960 at Arkansas. And my career started there, stayed on their staff. I became a full-time coach with Frank, and he was the guy that gave me the chance. And I look back and think about all of my career. It never happened had not he seen something in me that he thought that I could be an addition and a plus to his coaching staff. And so I stayed there and came with Oklahoma in 1966 with Jim McKenzie, who had played for Coach Bryant in Kentucky. And we got Pat James, who was coach at Alabama for Coach Bryant in the 60s, and defensive coordinator, hell of a coach. And we got a good staff put together. Doug and all of us went to Oklahoma in 1966 and started revamped the program. Was down. It hadn't beaten Texas in 8 years. We took the same players and beat their ass the next year. So it's all about play from the neck up. I love culture, toughness, it's the attitude, it's the mental game, and of course I like the other part to be 250, 60 pounds, run 4.5, but you got to play with what you got. But we had enough to build on, and hell, the next year, second year, we beat Tennessee in the Orange Bowl, ended up number 2 in the nation our second year there. So we had a hell of a staff, and we ended up recruiting great. And when Chuck went to the NFL in 1972, I was named the head coach, and I had a great run in the 70s. We won more games than anybody except Alabama won more games than us, but we had a better winning percentage in the 70s than they did, and had fewer losses. And we were a dominant football team, had great players. And the reason why is I was doing the right thing before anybody else was. I was recruiting all the best players at all positions. I was playing a black quarterback in 1972 in SEC in that Southwest Conference where they recruiting black players.
Yeah.
I was way ahead of them, and I was able to dominate Texas and get all the great players out of Texas, and I just had a great run.
Coach, that Harold Horton and his son Tim Horton's a friend of mine, and Coach Horton recruited my friend Tommy Christenberry to Arkansas in '78 through '81, and I loved him. And hearing Harold talk about that coaching tree at Arkansas with Raymond Berry, Pete Carroll, Jimmy Johnson, there were so many great coaches from Coach Broyles, and everybody called him Big Daddy, but that Arkansas connection is powerful. When you go to Fayetteville now, it's incredible. And now you got Oklahoma in the SEC. It is college football. It's going through some crazy times right now, but just hearing that story right there, what you did, will inspire a lot of people. Frank here with Coach Barry Switzer.
Yeah, well, Coach, it's a great honor to have you on. I'm coming from a Louisiana hunting cabin. Again, my good buddy A.J. Roy has 2,500 acres right off one of the oxbows here in central Louisiana. Last night, if it would have been deer season, I'd have had a 10-pointer dug, and I would have had a 4-pointer standing right next to him. It would have been awesome. But, Coach, I got to tell you, a true pleasure to talk to you. You know, growing up in the 70s, I was an LSU fan, but I love the Southwest Conference. I love the teams and the way that you guys played there. And Oklahoma was the standard bearer of that Southwest Conference.
Well, the Big Eight.
I mean, the Southwest, the Big Eight. Excuse me, Big Eight. The Big Eight Conference back in the day. Can you speak to those rivalries that you had, mainly with those Texas teams, all throughout those years? And what it meant to go into Texas as the Oklahoma coach and recruit against those Texans, because you went in there and you got so much talent coming from that talent-rich state. Can you speak to that? Because I think that history is fantastic.
Well, that's why we were so successful as the state of Texas. I'm only 100 miles from the Red River, and Dallas is just 2.5-hour drive. You know, Abilene, Texas, and West Texas is closer to Norman, Oklahoma, than it is to Austin, the state capital of the University of Texas. It's unbelievable how big Texas is and how spread out it is. And you go, that's out in the west part of the state of Texas, and a lot of players come from Odessa, Midland, and Abilene in that area, and that they were great players. But I had, as I said, because I was doing the right thing before anybody else was, and I was recruiting all the best players at all positions. I don't care who you are, black or white. And we recruited you, and that's why I had a great. And we won the national championship back to back in '74, '75, undefeated. My first, and I got the Selman brothers. I don't know whether you've heard of them.
Yeah.
But the Selman brothers, when they played at Oklahoma, defensive people, they played nose guard and 2 tackles. They both were down linemen, and they were 54-3-1 when they played. Won 54. We damn near won 58 in a row, and we were better than the teams we lost to. Leroy was the #1 player picked in the draft, and
incredible
NFL Hall of Fame today, and Lucius played for the league, and Dewey was a linebacker. They moved him from tackle to linebacker. 250-pound linebacker at Tampa Bay, and he played about 6 or 7 years with his brother there. So they were dominant players, not just them, but we had so many great players that all played in the league. Had about 9 guys that started in the league, NFL, off that team in '74 and '75. So we were just so dominant, and it was because we had Texas players. When they had Dallas Times Herald, they used to pick, the Southwest Conference used to do a confidential poll of the best players in the state of Texas, and they would put it in the Dallas Times Herald. In 1975, they had 19 players that made the blue chip list. You had to get 5 votes or more, and Billy Sims and Kenny King both had 8 votes. They were the best 2 players in Texas. We signed 13 of the 19 players. We just raped the state of Texas.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
And boy, were they had players for us. You know, Billy won the Heisman, first player picked in the draft. And Kenny King played and started in the league. And and David Overstreet was the 10th player picked in the draft, and little Joe Washington was the 4th player picked in the draft before Arthur.
Yeah.
We just went one player after another. Great backs and damn good linemen, good defensive players.
And coach, every one of them was tough. Tough as a $3 steak. That was the thing about your teams. They were tough players.
Yeah, we played back in. We had 200 players dressed out. We didn't have numbers. We went with colored jerseys. We went red and white team, orange, black, red. I mean, yellow jerseys, and it's because we had so many. But we could take 50 a year back in.
Yeah.
The league
was called stockpiling, coach. That was stockpiling.
We had so many players here. It was unbelievable, and they all stayed. I always told them that you stay, you'll play, and they did, and we redshirted so many of them. But we ended up, in 1972, we went to the 30 limit under the NCAA, and that's freshmen became eligible, and we obviously had to cut back on the number of players we had, but we still got the best players.
Yeah, Doug.
Coach, again, like Frank said, always an honor to talk to a legend like Coach Switzer. It's always in these days of we're having to talk too much about NIL and portals and things that don't have anything to do with play on the field. So it's better to go historical than hysterical, if you will. I think our listeners, especially those who depend on YouTube to understand my question and what you're going to talk about, would love to hear your take, your memories of the great Jack Mildren, godfather of the wishbone. And I know that you were offensive coordinator when that whole shift to the bone exploded. But talk about what Mildren had in his intelligence, his quickness, ability to learn that, operating that wishbone at such a high level, and what your best memories, especially that magical 71 season.
Well, first of all, Jack Mildren was from Abilene Cooper High School, and the head coach was Merrill Green. Merrill Green coached with me at Arkansas. He was on the staff at Arkansas. So that gave me a pretty good start right there. And we had so many alumni out in that area, in Abilene especially. And I mentioned a minute ago, Abilene's closer to Norman, Oklahoma than it is to Austin, Texas. And so Jack Mildren was the number one player in the state of Texas. We couldn't have gone to the wishbone. We had Jack. Jack was a hurdler in track. Jack was about a 4'5" guy, a white dude. He could run really fast. Just a good, and then he could throw the football. And he was, we couldn't have gone to the wishbone had we not him. We set a record with Jack in 1971. We averaged rushing for 473 yards a game for 11 games. Now, no one's going to break that record because no one runs the ball as much anymore. But track meet every week, we go out there and put 400, 500, 600, 700 yards on people. And we hold the record. You can go back and look at it. It amazes me that what we were able to do in that era with the wishbone. Texas went to it, and we went to it. And Alabama, Bear Bryant was smart enough to see what we were doing.
Yep.
So,
and Emory Billard.
Emory was kind of the father of it. Yeah. He didn't invent it. A high school coach in Texas was doing it. Emory spent some time talking to him. Darrell Roll was the head coach, and he played at Oklahoma. And Darrell was the guy that believed in three running backs in the backfield, and he wanted to run the ball. So Wishbone does that. You got three running backs back there, and a quarterback that can run, and you ran option football, and you just assaulted people, and that's what we did, and did it well. So it was a great era for us, and I tell you what, it still works today. It would. People ask me if the wishbone. I said, hell, all the coaches are dead that ran it. I don't know. Probably don't. Hell yeah. But it would work today without a doubt.
And if the coach you thought you were getting a picnic if you would get the fullback to hand the ball and he'd run you over for 10 yards.
Yeah. I remember we were playing Chuck one day up at Chuck had been in New England, but he took the Colorado job. And this is, I forgot what year it was. I think it was the early 80s. we're playing Chuck up there, and he's on the other side, and Chuck and I have been together at Oklahoma for years and years, and I'd followed Chuck as a head coach, and the score was 82 to about 30 or something like that when we were leading, and Chuck sent a coach down to our coaching staff's room, and Blake Galen Hall was my offensive coordinator. They knocked on the door, and the coach stepped in and he said, Coach Fairbanks told Coach Switzer to just hand the ball to fullback from now on the rest of the game. I got the message in my headset, and I waved across the field at Chuck. I said, I got the message.
And he still got another 100 yards.
Yeah, look, hell, still got fullback. Our kids weren't going to quit trying. You call his play, and we will still block it, and he's going to run with it. But anyway, it was a record at one time, 82 to 42, I think, something like that.
Wow. Coach, sorry if I walked on you, Coach. I've thought about this question as a way for you to tell our viewers about Barry Switzer internally. Like, who would you want to be? And here's the question. Have some fun with it. If you're cast in a old Western and you get your choice, you want to be wearing the black hat, the outlaw group, or do you want to wear the white hat, the posse that's chasing down the bad guys, Coach?
Well, I tell you what, I don't want to be the outlaw. People painted me as the outlaw back in that day, especially the Southwest Conference coaches. When you lose players and you recruit like I did back then, they said, well, they're cheating, they're doing this and that. I said, bullshit. I'm getting players because we win here at Oklahoma. I recruit Texas out of there. I think they ought to have a chance to win national championships, so that's why I recruit Texas so hard. So I got so many damn players up here. We won championships every year. We went to the Orange Bowl was 4 consecutive years. Twice we did that, and it's because of our domination that kids wanted to be a part of that, and especially good kids. I told Billy Sims, I walk into the locker room at Colorado. We're leading 28-0 at the half. This is 1974. Joe Washington's got 198 yards already. They had made 3 first downs against the Selmans. And I walk into the half, say, great job offense, hey, defense, keep it up. And I went over a payphone on the wall. And I picked the payphone up and I put a nickel in it, and I called the operator and I said, charge it to my phone in Norman, Oklahoma, which you could do back in those days. And I called Billy Sims at Conoco Service Station, CJ's Conoco Service Station in Hook Station on I-30 because he worked there. I talked to him the entire 20 minutes, telling Billy about how we'll surround him with great talent. No one down there can put enough talent around you to help you win the Heisman Trophy. We can do it at Oklahoma. I sold Billy. Billy knew I couldn't be talking to anybody else because the referee come up and tapped me on the shoulder and said, Coach, we're going to start the game in 5 minutes. You better get the damn team back out there. So I hung up Billy. I said, Billy, we get back at home tonight. I'll call you after we finish this ass kicking up here today. And Billy knew I couldn't be talking to anybody else but him. And Billy knew if he came to Oklahoma, I would surround him with enough talent that he could win the Heisman. He should have won 2. He won it his junior year. He should have won it his senior year.
Coach, the saying, they hate us because they ain't us, right, Coach?
Yeah, that's right.
And Coach, that was a tailback that was worth standing on the phone for, even if you missed the second half kick.
Oh, yeah. I want to sit them out there by themselves. We've been all right. Keep talking to Billy.
Hey, Coach, can I ask you one quick question real quick? The passion of college football, in my opinion, is those blood rivalries that you have with that team from either outside your conference or in your conference. And the 2 Oklahoma rivalries that literally are anchored in my memory are the rivalries that you had not only with the University of Texas and the Red River Shootout. They can call it a rivalry. It's a shootout. And that rivalry that you had with Tom Osborne and Nebraska. Can you speak to those 2 iconic rivalries?
Well, as we look today at football, we know who, Ohio State and those teams like that are dominant. Saban was dominant in that era. But in my era, we were the dominant teams. Nebraska and Oklahoma were 1 or 2 every year. When we play in the last game of the year around Thanksgiving, Oklahoma and Nebraska were usually ranked number 1 or 2 in the country. Both of us undefeated, got great stats on our team, but yet we really dominated Nebraska. My record against Tom Osborne, I was 12-5. I mean, I whipped his ass 12 times. He only got me 5. And,
I love it.
But but you go rank all these coaches. You let people go rank them and all. They put my ass. Hell, they wouldn't let me in the College Football Hall of Fame for about 12 years.
They were mad at you, Coach.
When I retired from coaching, I had the best record in college football, and I had to wait about 12 years because they gave me the black hat. And it's all because I was kicking their ass so much and I was a young guy, and we were cocky, 30 years old and doing this, and all those old guys, Woody Hayes, John McKay, and Darrell Royal, all those guys are, bad mouthing me and all that, and saying I'm cheating them buying players and all that bullshit. But it was just because I was a hell of a recruiter. I beat their ass recruiting, and I was doing the right thing before they were. And everybody knew it.
And you broke the color barrier, which I think was the most crucial thing.
Without doubt. It's because of the way I was raised. I was raised that way. My daddy was a bootlegger in South Arkansas. I lived way out in the country, and I grew up with black children, and my daddy had 4 or 5 black bootleggers for me in the quarters. The town was about 60. Back then, it was about 60-40. Mill town, sawmill, paper mill. It was, those guys were working in the woods, cutting down pine trees, hauling them out, flatbed trailers with mules and all that. It was a tough life, but I grew up in that, and I had a lot of great friends. It was back, a black guy back in that era in the 40s and 50s had no justice or credit. He couldn't walk into a car agency and buy a car unless my daddy walked in there and sell this guy a car. And that's what it took. My dad would walk in there and sell this guy a car because he knew, and they all knew that the daddy knew these guys, and they borrowed money from him. They bought whiskey from him, and did all these, this stuff. I had that relationship with all those guys. I grew up with that, and I knew there was no differences, and I just.
We're all in this together.
I was comfortable, and I was, the key in recruiting, most coaches would go into a home, and you got to make yourself comfortable in someone else's home, and I could, and I could walk into a home and make them feel comfortable in their own home. And because they placed us way up here, and I couldn't raise them. I had to go down where they were, and I lived there. I knew that.
And like Danny Ford once said in a wonderful Touchdown Club of Atlanta luncheon, if they give you a pig knuckle sandwich, you got to eat it.
That's right.
In that house.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Damn right you do. And I liked it. I like cornbread and collard greens and all that. Crackling bread's what I really love.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a lost art.
I got a crackling store right 200 yards from us where we are right now. And by the way, Coach, if you grew up in a paper mill town, you'll remember that smell for the rest of your life, won't you?
Oh, my God. I think about so many people that got cancer from that damn crap. I mean, they're running those chemicals to a damn freshwater creek, and all it was just turning it into a damn cesspool. And it was a terrible. And they've had, of course, APA's changed all that today. But my era, it was just dumped into the damn creeks.
Yeah.
Ran down, hell, about 300 yards behind my house. I was way out in the country in a shotgun house, built up on stumps. People asked me why that. And I said, hell, the hogs and chickens and the copperheads had to have a place to live. So that's why.
Coach. Yeah, what's interesting, and Coach Dye, I graduated from Auburn. I remember Coach Dye telling us when I started my show in college, I went before I even got it and got Coach Dye, Sonny Smith, and Pat Sullivan to be my first guest. And they said, absolutely, we'll do it. But Coach Dye in recruiting, Rodney Garner, one of his defensive linemen, said, when Coach Dye came to our house, he said, we didn't have a lot. He said, but my mother made the best dinner she could. And afterwards, instead of Coach Dye sitting on the couch watching us clean up, he went in there and pulled his sleeves up and washed dishes with my mother, and then sat out on the porch for 3 or 4 hours talking about everything in life but football. And that
That's right.
connection, it's so
Yeah.
powerful.
Right.
Because I live in Memphis, and I'm over in Arkansas at our hunting camp right now and parking these little towns,
You bet.
what it means to people. I think that
Right.
what you just said is why you're authentic in every way.
Yeah, well, that's what I did too. You know, I'll tell you a story right quick. Gene Stallings, coach of Texas A&M, is coming in to recruit Jack Mildren, and Jack's back there studying, and I'm sitting there watching Dolly Parton, Porter Wagner with Mildren, Larry Mildren's Jack's dad. I'm sitting there with him, and I'd eat. Mary Glenn would be in there cooking supper, and I'd eat with them every Thursday night. I would be there in Abilene every Thursday night. Well, the coaching staff of Texas A&M is coming this Thursday night. Beef Stallings, about 6 or 7 of them, and I always help Mary wash the dishes and clean the table up and all that. So, because I was there every Thursday, I was part of the family. Well, anyway, so what happens is that they knock on the door, and I said, "Well, I got to leave. I'll leave, and I'll come back later." So I walked out the door, and I got all these looks from these A&M coaches. They didn't say a word to me, and I walked between the middle of them, and I couldn't help myself. I stopped at the end of the sidewalk and yelled back at Mary Glenn. I said, "Mary Glenn, you sit down and visit with these coaches. When they leave, I'll be back here and help you clean up the dishes, wash the dishes." I couldn't help but do that. Oh, boy, I pissed them off. And I was sitting out there in my car when they were leaving, finished their visit. I was waiting to go back in.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I love it.
Coach, the subject that's in most of us, that if you're over at least 45, 50, maybe a little older, then you're coaching. And this was true in my case all the way through John Carroll High School, home of Pat Sullivan in Birmingham. But the coaching we got was
I beat his ass in the Sugar Bowl. Him and Twilly had him 32-0 at the half.
I know it's still too soon to talk about that, Coach.
That's a little raw.
Yeah, Oklahoma definitely came to play that day. They were just a better team, no doubt about it. But we did not get water during practice. I bet Rob and Duff didn't either. I know Coach Switzer didn't. We got salt tablets, and that was probably no one knew that was potentially.
Hey, that was I call that the Neanderthal era. Coach.
Yeah,
I really do. Coaches were stupid back then. You couldn't hydrate. We had to duck walk 100 yards, and I always asked, "What the hell has this got to do with football?" Always cramp up our damn thighs and legs.
But on a crab where you have to lean back in a crab, who the hell am I tackling like that?
Head on tackling, not discourage kids, hurt kids. It was stupid as hell.
I appreciate you saying that, but here's my question. Somewhere between those dangerous practices, not hydrating, which was medically stupid, and it didn't build better athleticism, it probably broke down muscles and it risked, heat stroke. But I do think, I told a friend of mine, if you brought somebody from the left coast back in a time zone, a time travel, and saw a Pat Dye practice or probably a Switzer or Osborne practice, they would call it a toxic culture, Coach. It's so woke. So I do worry about, we always talked about the games were easy. If you could survive practice, the games were just fun. So what is the balance? How should coaches coach tough enough now, but it still be within the guardrails of player safety, Coach?
Well, first of all, back in that era, let's go back to the Neanderthal era. Remember, we wouldn't even let you lift weights because they make you muscle bound and you lose your quickness and all that. How stupid was that? But we had no weight and strength programs back over that era. But our team, when I coached, my team knew that we go out. I used to say, let's go out and hang a half 100 on their ass in a hurry. And the reason why I say that is not to downgrade this team, is I want to play everybody. Everybody knew they were going to play. The second team players and third team players, they got mamas and daddies there. They want to see their kids out there playing. And we got so much great effort out of second and third team players to prepare the first team to play, is because they knew they got to play on Saturday. And if we hung a half 100 on people, I cleared the bench. I played everybody. And Joe Washington said, "Coach, I would have had," he still holds the school record over close to 5,000 yards. And he says, "Coach, I had 8,000 yards if you let me play 4 quarters, but I only played 2 quarters." I said, but Joe, we have 40 or 50 nothing to half. So hell, I'm gonna play everybody. Those kids worked their ass off for us.
It was for that second string guard that was having to go up against Leroy Selman every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yeah.
That poor guy had to get in.
I bet Spurrier's a man after your heart running it up, Coach.
Yeah.
Coach, I was watching, I think it was the 100-year anniversary, but it was a documentary about Oklahoma football. And you're there with all your former players. And Brian Bosworth was on there. And the way you opened, that was very emotional for you. It was really powerful. And Brian Bosworth, man, we all remember what a badass. And the way you brought him back into the Oklahoma family, you're a very forgiving person because, like you say, none of us are perfect, but I thought talk about that. That was powerful.
I've got Brian this weekend. He's going to be with me this weekend. He's coming in for this game. I will have him in my box. And Brian and I get along well. You know, a lot of people, you know, he danced for the media. The media made him out to be the boss. Brian Bosworth of two people. You had the boss and you had Brian Bosworth. Brian Bosworth graduated in 3.5 years. He did not smoke. He did not do drugs. The only drug he did was steroids. But he didn't do any of that. He was a smart kid, great football player, and but he was a media guy. You see him on these Dr. Pepper commercials. He does a good job. He's the sheriff and all that.
Yeah.
But you know he's we have a great relationship and. All that crap's behind us, but you know, they were young. They made mistakes and dumbass things they do, and I had to kick his ass off the team because of wearing that shirt on the damn sidelines. That's a swords bowl, the NCAAs against communists, against athletes, or whatever he says. But anyway, all that's in the past. We've all matured and we've all moved on, and we have a great relationship with each other today.
Coach, speaking of moving on, can you speak to the incredible career change that you did from going from college football to coaching the national football team of record, the Dallas Cowboys? Can you speak to what that was like and what that change of either coaching mentality or just your own, your own psyche going in and doing that? What was that like going from college to the pros and then reaching the pinnacle and winning a Super Bowl ring? I bet that had to be so satisfying to you, not only on a professional level, but a personal level.
Well, first of all, let me set the stage for you guys. I coached Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones at Arkansas.
That's right.
They both played at the same time. Had a great relationship with both of them. I hired Jimmy on my staff at Oklahoma, and he was here 4 years with us. So he was at Picayune, Mississippi, and he went 0-10 at Picayune his first year out of college as the head coach. And I called him. I said, put Beverly and Chad and Brent in the damn car. You drive to Wichita, Kansas, and Larry Laceville will hire you as a defensive line coach. And he did that. That's how he got college coaching. And so Jimmy, we hired here later. Of course, Laceville was here with me and Jimmy, and we were all here together with Chuck and all. Chuck didn't know who the hell Jimmy Johnson was, but we did. I hired him, and I'm the one that talked Chuck into doing it, and that's why Jimmy and I were together here at Oklahoma. But anyway, when I went to the Cowboys, I had a tough job. I don't know if any coach in the league has ever had a tougher job than me. I inherited his staff. In other words, I'm around strangers. I don't know whether they're going to be loyal to me. I don't know what their hidden agendas might be. It takes me a while to get to know those guys. A couple of them I got to know immediately. I really loved some of them right off the bat. I had one coach that had coached and played for me there on the staff, and I lived with him for a month. And John Blake, who played for me, and it was a tough deal because I didn't know any of those guys, and they had to accept me. And I told them, hell, I understand why you guys are pissed off. When Jimmy got fired, y'all won 2 Super Bowls back to back, and I'm just coming in here to help keep this damn thing going down the middle of the road. Yeah, and I've won a lot of football games, and I know how to do that. We're going to continue to do that. but y'all will have to give me a chance, and we'll make it happen. But those guys were used to Jimmy. Troy was used to Jimmy hollering and screaming and doing all that. Everybody does it different ways. I wasn't that kind of guy. I'd pat people on the back, tell them what positive reinforcement, what a great job they were doing. If I had any criticism to say about them, I didn't embarrass them on the field. I talked to them off the field one-on-one. But I had a great relationship, especially with the black players. They all loved me, and I enjoyed that time at the Cowboys. And of course, if we hadn't been down 21-0 the first 5 minutes against San Francisco, when the championship game out there, my first year, we would have won the damn Super Bowl. We were down 21-0. Yep. Our first pass was intercepted and run back for a touchdown, but Reggie Jackson. Second pass, Michael Irvin catches it, and Eric Pope punches it out of his hands and hits the ground, bounces up high, and Merlin Hank catches it on a bound and runs it 30 yards for a touchdown. And we're down 14-0. They kick off to us our third kickoff in the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game, and next thing, Williams from Miami, Williams runs the damn ball up in front of our bench and fumbles at the 32-yard line. Steve Young takes a 7-play drive to end zone, and we're down 21-0. and I look at our team. I call them all up. I said, guys, I said, what's great about this? What's really great about this? 50 down 21-0 in the first 5 minutes of the game. They thought I was nuts when I said that. I said, because you got 55 minutes to get back in this son of a bitch.
That's a glass half full, Coach.
Yeah. And so we had 2 long 80-yard drives for touchdowns. We got back 21-14 in the first half, guys. We come back from 21 down. We take the next 2 scores, long drives, and it's only about a minute left in the half. And I had Ernie Zampese, my coordinator. I said, Ernie, give it to Emmett 3 times, and if we don't make a first down, we'll punt it to him, and there'll be not any time left in the game. And Ernie said, no, we just scored, Coach. We can go get a field goal. We might go score. Come on, let me do it. I let him talk me into it. We threw 3 incomplete passes. We had to punt the ball, and they hit Jerry Rice on a fingertip catch going out of the end zone right before the half went down 14 points. I dog cussed my ass all the way to the locker room. I knew it was a thing to do. Why in the hell didn't you say, fuck you, run the football 3 times? Hey, and but it's just things like that bother me. But the next year we won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you did. Absolutely.
When I went into the league, see, the other thing that happened, free agency had started. So players were being siphoned off our team. We were losing players, and we weren't the same team after about 4 years there, because I lost Haley, best pass rusher in the league. I lost Novacek, the best third down and 2
tight end
league. And I said, the air's pointing down. I told Jerry, I'm going back north of the Red River, and you can find someone else to coach this damn team. And Jerry didn't want me to leave, but I did, and came on back home. I'm here in Norman.
Coach, what is your relationship with Jerry? Can you speak to that? Because obviously it goes 50 years.
I have a great relationship.
Yeah. Jerry. I mean, going back 50 years, right? I mean, from when you coached him.
He was 18-year-old kid. He's talked to me about that, how I influenced him, how I encouraged him. I would go to his room and sit in his room at this dormitory and visit with him, and that we'd all gather in there, and I'd talk to those freshmen about what they're facing, what it's going to be like, and preparing them for it. And Jerry talked about that. He said it really helped him, and he ended up playing, 3 years, and of course he was a businessman then. I knew he was. He was different from the rest of them. Hell, he married Miss Arkansas, and he was making thousands of dollars his freshman, sophomore year, selling damn life insurance policies. The rest of the guys out drinking beer at the club, chasing women, and he sold whole life policies up in northern Arkansas and southern Missouri.
If I'd had Mrs. Arkansas, I wouldn't have been chasing women and drinking beer either. I'd have been at home too.
Boy, I tell you, he was different cat then. I knew he was different. Then he came over here in Oklahoma, and made a fortune in the oil and gas business, and I was the head coach. So we socialized a lot. We went to dinner. We were together a lot when he was back in the 70s when he was here. I knew Jerry when he bought the team. Gil Brandt called me one night, Cowboys, and Gil said, Hey, you know Jerry Jones? And I said, hell yeah, I know Jerry. He said, well, he just paid $140 million for the Cowboys. He just bought the Cowboys. I said, Gil, if I were you, I'd start looking for another job because he's going to cut it to the bone. He's going to fire every one of your ass.
And he did.
And Tex Ram ain't going to have an open checkbook, but sign merchant's checkbook anymore. It's over with. Because he's losing $1 million a month, and he's going to cut that sum to the bone, and he did. But Jerry changed the league. He realized this is a business. It's not a game; it's a business. And Jerry, built it from $140 million to a $10 billion franchise. And the league would go with Budweiser, and he'd go with Miller Coolers. They go with Coca-Cola. He'd go with Pepsi-Cola.
Coach, he's still doing it with the halftime show thing. He's standing on principle. I think that's just so admirable. Really
he's just smarter than the rest of those bastards. The rest of those guys were wealthy. They had other empires to run, and they just bought the damn club and had someone else run it. Jerry Jones paid his money, and Jerry wanted to be. That was his business for the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. And he never he gets a bad rap. Jerry never called in them play. He never what he was in meetings. He would come back there and sit and watch film with us. But I told Jerry, hey, you leave the damn coaching and the game planning to us, and don't say a damn word about it. He said I would not get involved in it. He never did. He never told us what to do. He never told us who to draft, whatever. He wasn't that way. But he was back there when the camera went on. He picked up the phone. The red light went on the camera, and we were live. Jerry was acting.
He was.
Hell, everybody's a damn actor. Most of so much is all actors if they know they got the camera. But anyway, that was a good trip. I liked it. I had my run. I won the Super Bowl and got my ass out of there.
Coach, a staple. You know where I'm going with this. A staple of entertainment in college football these days, seemingly every week, is a controversial comment from one Lane Kiffin. And he had, and you can talk about the Sooners who are in position to have a great year. Congrats to Venables and that staff. But Kiffin said that Oklahoma's defense may be doing so well because they're figuring out opponent's signals, which I think, if you know Lane Kiffin, that was actually a dig at Hugh Freeze, and Auburn people appreciate that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But talk about that part of coaching is to look for tendencies, and if you see something that looks like we know this signal means an RPO versus a straight run play, that's just football, as opposed to what Michigan got sanctioned for, Coach.
Well, in my era, I sent plays in with wide receivers. I had two receivers that carried the ball plays in. We didn't signal, and we did have some signals, but for defense. But for offense, we always sent it in with a receiver. But it's part of the game. If you guys are going to get over and signal things, and we watch you and figure it out, that's just part of the damn game. And you need to have 2 or 3 guys over signaling. You don't know which one's live. You change them all the time, so it's you don't look at one guy and just let him be the guy that signals, and it's got to be a different guy every other time. But anyway, it's part of the game, and I don't give a damn. What they do, I was going to run the damn ball.
Coach, I know we're about to wrap up, and thank you so much for staying on with us. And Ivan Maisel was on with us last week, and he wrote.
Yeah,
I bought a copy of his book he just published about Frank Leahy, and I think about Bud Wilkinson. I think about you. This has been absolutely a treasure, and I want Brad Bellamy, one of our sponsors, Landers Ford, say hi to you real quick. He's a big Alabama and Memphis fan, but say hello to Coach.
Hey, Coach Switzer, man, it's an honor to be on the call with you guys today. This is a pleasant surprise, Rob, when I popped in.
You never know.
Actually, one of your OU buddies is a great customer of ours, John Cooperstein.
Yeah, John's in Memphis. Lives in Memphis. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
he was.
big Sooner fan. Yeah, John, I've known him for years and years and years. He's a good guy, and hell, he used to sell televisions. I think, and I bought a big ass television from him. And but yeah, he's a good guy. Tell him hello for me.
I will. I will absolutely
The
do.
Landers, that's where I take my car for repair, collision, someone bumps some fender or something like that. My wife's car, they got a collision. They sell cars now. They do a good job. They support our program.
Well,
Yeah.
it's awesome. Coach, listen, thank you so much. I tell you what, your memory is incredible. I don't know. You should be doing one of those commercials for one of the, I mean, I tell you, your knowledge and your ability to
I'm
recall.
88 years old, guys. Most 88 years old are they either dead or they got dementia and they're in the hospice or a damn home. Yeah, at least I can drive, get up, move around, still remember. I'm fortunate. I'm just
And
damn
you were
lucky
awesome.
that I can do what
You were
I
awesome
do
in that documentary
today.
too.
Yeah, fantastic.
I'm in double overtime. I always said, "Hey, is he still there?" Yeah, you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
We can hear you, brother. Thanks,
I don't think
Coach.
y'all can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Well,
yeah, Coach, we can hear
Anyway,
you, but I'll
I
let
don't know what
listen.
the hell to do.
Yeah, you're still there. We can still hear you. But Coach, thank you so much for sharing your time with us about the history, the traditions, and the heroes of college football, Coach Barry Switzer, and look forward
guys,
to your
I've lost
90th
you.
birthday. We got you. We can hear you. But I mean,
that was awesome.
Yeah, that was
incredible.
really his memory at 88. Yeah. What are those memory things? He was remembering. I thought I was an idiot savant. My dad always says, but I mean, he's a brilliant. I mean, he can remember a payphone conversation he had with Billy Sims for 20 minutes at halftime. I'm like, wow, that was great. Brad, there's a lot happening right now. Everybody's got to get a car or a truck or an SUV. It ain't the doing in life that's so bad, it's the dreading. Somebody says, hey, man, I want to go look at new vehicles. I've got a 5-year-old F-150 I want to trade in. They go ask for Brad Bellamy in that beautiful showroom at Poplar and Houston Levy. Take them from there.
Man, it's a perfect time too, Rob. We got extra rebates from Ford, and we got 3.9 for 72 months. So we got a lot of folks out there that like to pay cash for vehicles. Right now, you can save some of that cash, keep it in the bank, and make some extra interest money on it, 0.9% for 36 months. So those are great times for us to have folks come in that have saved up and like to have no car payment. So the 0.9 gives us an opportunity to tell them about, hey, keep your money in the bank and let Uncle Sam or your bank account pay you a little bit more, and then only do the 0.9. So we got that going. We got X-Plan pricing on Expeditions and Explorers. Rob, the other big thing, we the EV program continues to be strong. One of the things that Ford's had is this Power Promise program where you can get standard installation and a charger. But in lieu of that, they've added a $2,000 rebate. So for folks that already have a charger or have a setup that they don't need one, we got 0 for 72 months on Lightnings and F-150 and Mach-E's, plus 0 for 72, plus rebate. Great lease deals on both of those. So come on out and see us. It's going to be a great weekend. Nice weather. Looks like the rain's going to hold off until Sunday. So got a beautiful weekend and everything lined up. We got a lot. I just had a guy out here I was talking to on the line. He's like, man, you guys got a lot of trucks. And we do. We got the gamut from STX all the way to Platinum, King Ranch, Lariat, XLT. So come out and see us this weekend. It starts today. So make it out. And just a reminder to all your listeners, $500 off for anybody that mentions they listen to SEC Sideline. So new car, used car, whatever price we got, we'll take $500 more off of it to take care of folks that pay attention to the program.
That's right, paying attention. And also just getting out there and getting in a new vehicle. And those Broncos, I see them all over the place. They're fantastic. Man, thank you. Frank, I know we're all looking at these games this weekend in the SEC. And during the week, we talk so much about these matchups, but kind of running down the list, Alabama is at South Carolina, Auburn's at Arkansas, Kentucky hosts Tennessee, A&M goes to Baton Rouge, Ole Miss is at Oklahoma, Mississippi State hosts Texas, but the center of the universe for college football, ESPN Game Day, will be in Nashville, Missouri at Vanderbilt, 2 top 15 teams, and Vanderbilt is in the top 10. What last week, that LSU game, first time since 1978, LSU is a favorite in an SEC game, and they came through. Vanderbilt did.
Vanderbilt was favorite. Our defense played so poorly because we didn't keep contain. And we saw how well we did against Lenore Sellers the week before. We kept contained. He had 16 carries for 20 yards. We totally forgot that against Pavia. He ran us to death. I think Vanderbilt obviously is this year's darling story. But I think the story that is the most interesting to me is I think the best team right now playing the best football in the SEC is Alabama. Alabama, after that first game against Florida State, I don't know what the hell happened there, but I'm telling you right now, I think we got a shot to beat Texas A&M. We historically play them well. I hope Kelly has a sense of urgency, gets them up. If we beat Texas A&M, our standard bearer is Alabama, with Vanderbilt being 1A. And right now, the SEC, if A&M goes down, Alabama then is the last remaining undefeated team in SEC play. I think by the end of the whole season, the regular season, Alabama will be the top seeded SEC team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to, and Brad need to get his take on all of this, but Duff, I 100% agree. Alabama's playing at the highest level that I'm seeing, especially at quarterback. But even the defense is coming on. They weren't getting enough pressures and sacks early, and that doesn't seem to matter. They're just playing so well and just not making dumb mistakes.
Yep.
But I want to put they're 1A, 1B. I got to give some credit to Georgia, because if you look at that game last Saturday, as Kirby said, we're a hard dog to kill. And I watched Georgia, and I'm not wowed in some ways offensively, but they just hang around and you can't put them away. And Kiffin, that game, nobody played defense until the late fourth quarter. So I think I'll be shocked if we don't see Alabama. I'll be surprised if we don't see Georgia and Alabama meeting again. And I don't have a pick in that one. Your thoughts, Brad?
Man, I think this weekend's going to decide a lot of the playoffs, or at least who gets eliminated. I mean, if Ole Miss wins the game on Saturday against Oklahoma, their schedule the rest of the way is not hard. I mean, and if you remember last year, they got beat at home by Kentucky. Then they went to South Carolina, and South Carolina had just been on a roll, and then they just absolutely dominated South Carolina, and then they had that stumble against Florida. So, obviously, with Oklahoma, there's a lot of games left after this one. Man, I think they beat Oklahoma this weekend. I think they're a better team, and I think that sets them up to be one of the first teams that really has, a playoff, really in their grasp. A&M, I think, is going to lose one of the next 2 weeks. It might not be this weekend against LSU, but either there or Missouri. I think they're going to lose one of those 2 games. Missouri's a really good football team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's a really good football team. Alabama's given Vanderbilt their loss, Missouri their loss, and Georgia their loss. So I agree. I mean, Alabama's composure under pressure has been something we haven't seen, not only last year, but a few years back too. I mean, even the last couple of years that Saban was there, their penalties, it was atrocious. I mean, it was not a good situation. And I think the Vanderbilt Missouri game is going to be an elimination game. Whoever loses that game is probably not going to make the playoff because of the schedule they still have. Right. Yeah. I think the 3-loss SEC team is very possible, but they lose that game, and the number of teams right now that are kind of stacking up. A&M schedule the way out. They got Texas, Missouri, and LSU. Vandy's got a couple of tough games. They got that Tennessee game at Tennessee. I struggle to put that one as a win for Vandy this year. So they always struggle against Tennessee. So this is a very exciting weekend.
Yeah.
Who would have ever thought at the beginning of the season that Texas would only be a 6.5-point favorite going to Mississippi State? But that's the year of the SEC. I mean, they survived last week. They shouldn't have. Auburn is the exact same Auburn team as last year. They cannot figure out how to win a game. They can outplay a team the whole entire time and then not win. So I know it's been tough, but
wasting a great defense.
At the beginning of the year, we talked about it. I didn't see all the money that Hugh Freeze had gotten was going to pay off, and it's the same team as last year in terms of being able to finish a game. So they've been close in all these games, and you know what? I mean, they could be a spoiler for Alabama at the end of the season because that's how.
I mean, yeah, was it 21 and nearly 23 in Jordan Hare?
Yeah.
We should all prepare ourselves. Somebody's going to, in the SEC, somebody's going to get screwed by upsets in conference championship games.
Yeah. Well, we broke yesterday after the show. I got a call from a longtime friend in coaching who spilled something to Brendan and me. And Brendan, I gave it to Brendan. We put it out on the channel. We talked about it last night on the Buddy Martin show. There's somebody in Florida, we can't name names, has put together a 6-year, $13.5 million a year package to lure Lane Kiffin to Florida. And
not going.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think the canary in the coal mine will be, how does Ole Miss play on the road? You remember back in 22 when Kiffin and Auburn were playing footsie under the table, and it cratered Ole Miss's season.
Sure did.
Again. If Ole Miss goes on the road tomorrow and plays focused, dialed in, laser sharp, that says a lot about where Lane Kiffin is. Because then, Oklahoma, their defense is really, really good. Ole Miss, what are the odds Ole Miss loses back-to-back at Georgia and at Oklahoma? I don't see that happening. And if it does, that's a whole nother story.
Well, they're going to be scraping every dollar in the state of Mississippi to keep him. I'm going to tell you that right now. They're going to do everything in their power to keep him. And I think what Lane's going to wind up doing is parlaying this into a bigger salary. And I think he's comfortable in Oxford. I saw the report that Buddy broke, and I'm not saying that there's not smoke where there's not fire, but I got a feeling at the end of the day, he likes his life in Oxford, and I don't see him going.
It's just so many variables.
I don't know at this point if Florida is a better position than Oxford and Ole Miss. I mean, I think
I agree.
When you look at the national perspective of which school's a better school to go to, which one's a part, like the draw to Ole Miss, the number of people I know in Michigan that had kids that wanted to tour Ole Miss. I mean, Alabama, Ole Miss, Tennessee are getting a ton of folks. And I don't think Florida is the same. I mean, they've won the national championships. But I don't know if current history, if that's a better job. Now,
same with Auburn at the moment.
Sure. It's a better job than Missouri. And I can see Eli heading down to Florida. I don't think Lane's going to leave unless he feels pressure from the folks in Oxford to leave.
No. Which not going to happen. But the wild card is the fertile recruiting ground of Florida. That's the wild card. But now with the NIL and with the transfer portal, that ability to go into a particular state and hold that state is not as important. I mean, you can go across state lines now. So look, all I can tell you is I don't know what the quality of the talent is in his yoga class in Oxford, but I'm betting it's pretty good. I don't see him leaving.
Well, and the wild thing is, University of Florida is like maybe one of the top 5 or 6 public universities in America. Academically, it's
very good.
The problem they're having is they've got so many out-of-state people coming in. I mean, you've got so many Florida legacies being denied.
Yep.
And Alabama and all these schools that are bringing in all these kids from all over the country are likely going to rue the day that they did that, because you've got places like Auburn that have more kids from the state of Alabama on campus than Alabama does. And Alabama's at over 40,000 and Auburn's at just under 26, 31 with grad students. Be very careful of that. These are state universities. You don't want to give up your culture. But I listen, that Florida, the thing about Lane is I don't think it's about money anymore. It's about other things.
Yeah.
Doug,
I'll sound like an old guy yelling at the clouds.
Go ahead.
With this, but I do feel for programs that they're vying for a spot in the 12-team playoff.
Yeah.
And through no fault of theirs, you get all the cool kids have to fire their damn coach mid-season.
Yeah.
Oh, we're scared if he starts winning, we'll have to keep. No, you don't. When did you give up decision making on that? And so it is what it is. And they were always back channel word. If like John Summerall right now, imagine how he must feel.
Yeah.
he's got a shot at making it. So does the Memphis coach, I guess.
Sure does, yeah.
UAB shocking Memphis.
Yeah,
Goodness
the
gracious.
bones, the battle of the bones.
Shout out to Trent Dilfer. But I don't know what can be.
He wasn't even there.
He's gone.
That's my point. Dilfer getting fired, apparently it helped. Yeah. My shout out was a negative one. Sorry, I was ambiguous on that.
Tongue in cheek.
There's nothing. The only thing that could change this is athletic directors deciding to be gentlemen and not fire coaches in the middle of the year, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but looking at the conference, I will not be shocked if at Davis Wade Stadium, Scott Field, there's movement in the aisles, as Jack Crystal would say. This one, maroon and white, is Mississippi State beats Texas 31-17. Who would have seen it coming? That is one of the toughest places. When they bowled in down there by the SEAL Center in Starkville, guys, and they got the Mossy Oak Jumbotron. Oh, my gosh. That place.
The Egg Bowl is there this year, Rob.
I know. Guys, we got 6 more weekends. Then we got the playoffs. We got the bowls. We're going to late January. And by mid-February, someone starts spring practice. So, we blow it. But what I see right now with Diego Pavia and the story there, Eli Drinkwitz, they just keep winning. I talked to Callum McAndrew. He's from Scotland, and he covers Missouri for the Columbia Daily Tribune, trying to get him to come on this show. But they got a morning deadline at 10 a.m., but we're working on it. But, guys, there's so many so many stories in the SEC. I know we're a little bit long.
The have-nots are closing the gap. The have-nots are closing the gap, and that's what this system does.
Yeah, and who would have seen 3 of the top 4 teams in the preseason rankings, Brad Bellamy, Clemson, Penn State, and Texas aren't even ranked. Well, I think Texas snuck back in, but, I mean, the only one that's there is Ohio State. Are they the one team, Brad Bellamy, that's unbeatable? I mean, they look like a Sasquatch package Bronco with double knot tires on board and a full tank of gas.
I mean, also look at like Oregon and the expectation there and kind of how they. I mean, like Indiana and Ohio State are very good football teams. Yeah. And I mean, I think it's going to be exciting when they get head to head with some of these SEC schools. Hopefully, they're favorable matchups. I do think this weekend we're going to have 3 of the favorites lose. Yeah,
it's going to be moving Saturday. It's like golf, moving Saturday.
We got 7 games, and I think there's a strong chance at minimum 3. I think Ole Miss has a great opportunity. Auburn at Arkansas is an underdog. I don't see Vandy losing. I think Vandy, man, I think that this is their special year. And with having game day, I mean, the emotions that game day is going to bring to a school that's never even sniffed the opportunity to have a game day is incredible. But I think Mississippi State, I mean, they've been in games this year and Texas has struggled. So, I mean, in LSU, I mean, talk about a tough place to play for A&M, but we're going to have a lot of low-scoring games too, I think. I mean, the Ole Miss-Oklahoma game, I don't see it hitting the over-under. I mean, Oklahoma can't hit it over to save their lives. So I think it's going to be a fun weekend.
Hey, guys, you know how I knew it was going to be a big year for Vanderbilt? And Rob will understand this. The doctrine of Jabba, just Auburn being Auburn. Once they named Vandy a permanent opponent for Auburn, I said, those bastards will start playing football now.
On another level. I was up in Belmead Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And Doors Mania, we're downtown at Bricktops by Bridgestone Arena for dinner. We went down. People loving Nashville, my friend, is really involved with that. And they go out on the street and minister to people. Wow. And I think they're looking to open up something in Memphis. And I know who I'm looking at right now in the red jacket, Landers Ford, Brad Bellamy. You do with Agape. Brad, what you do and Landers, Kent Ritchie, Don Kitchen, the whole staff out there. Folks, this is a sponsor, but he's our friend. What y'all do in the Mid-South is off the charts. For St. Jude, Liberty, everywhere something good is needing to happen, Landers Ford is there. You know what? If you didn't buy your last vehicle from Landers, not only did you pay too much, but you missed out on being with the best people. guys, I mean, we got to wrap up. But go ahead, Frank. Yeah.
I was going to say a shameless plug. Don't forget the LSU Gold to Go show. Our fourth one is coming on today live from my good buddies in Baton Rouge. I'm leaving this beautiful hunting camp of AJ Roy's here in central Louisiana, making that drive to Baton Rouge. I want to let you know that this hunting camp was brought to you by Four Roses Bourbon, and we got enough deer jerky to float a battleship here in Louisiana. If it's moving, it's dying.
Hey, Duff, Matt Moscona, watch your back, man. Duff,
that's right.
Yeah. Well, and I was just going to say,
don't quit your day job, Doc.
The Friday show, Gold to Go, GEAUX. I love it. And got so many great shows on here. Buddy Martin show, Scarbo Knows, a lot to talk about. But guys, this has been an absolutely awesome show. So much to talk about. Stay tuned to this channel. If it's happening and it matters, we'll be covering it. We don't traffic in rumors. Get your bows ready. Duck season, 29 days away, I might add. 29 days away it starts. So I can feel it right now. Brad, it's kind of cool today here in the Mid-South. But, folks, get out to Landers Ford, Poplar and Houston Levee, where Germantown and Collierville meet. And if you're a CBHS alum, think about this. Tom Nick Stadium, Landers Field, what they have done. And a lot of you Christian Brothers people, Tom Dorian, Scotty Sneed, Dave Aquadro, Ed Kaiser, Jeff Heimbach, Fig, Walt, Jimmy McDavid, we all went to school there. Do your business with Landers.
Christian Brothers, we're going to be spreading Joe Douglas's ashes at our fraternity house today on LSU's campus. For all the Christian brothers who know Joe Douglas, I know you know him, Rob.
We all graduated with him.
His ashes will be spread at our fraternity house on LSU's campus today.
Now that is the SEC. It just means more. Hey, guys, thank y'all so much. Let me wrap up with something about sponsors, and we'll see you next week. What an honor. You bet. That is awesome stuff. Let me say this about Landers Ford, one of our sponsors, also right now. Boot Club up on the square in Collierville open every day of the week. Your boots, your barber, your Filson, except Sunday. Rumble Boxing Gym, how you fight is how you live. And, of course, Hemp for Pros, Lights Out Gummies. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Find ways to win. We talked about people loving Nashville. Wherever you live, there's somebody that could use a helping hand. Get out and help them, man. Again, thanks for watching the channel. Gold to Go coming up next right here on the SEC Sideline Sports Network. Thank you.